The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Chancellor Zephyr raised the crystalline gavel. The motion passed with a clear majority, leaving the human delegation isolated at the far end of the great oval table. Katie Morgan felt the weight of 1,000 eyes upon her, representatives from over 300 civilizations, most of whom had just voted to constrain humanity's expansion across the stars. "The Council has spoken," Chancellor Zephyr announced, his translucent skin shimmering under the chamber's ambient light. "Humanity's rapid colonization has created imbalance. The new measures will ensure stability for all galactic citizens." Katie gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles whitening. 20 years ago, Earth had celebrated its invitation to join the Galactic Council, an achievement representing humanity's acceptance among the stars after centuries of solitary development. Now, that same council sought to clip their wings, just as they had learned to soar. Beside her, Admiral Jack Harrison maintained the rigid posture that had earned him command of Earth's defensive fleet. His weathered face betrayed nothing, but Katie knew the calculations running behind those steel-gray eyes. The Council's decision was not just bureaucratic overreach. It was an existential threat to humanity's future among the stars. "Chancellor," Katie said, rising to her feet. Her voice carried across the chamber's perfect acoustics. "Earth respectfully requests the Council reconsider. Our colonies have followed all established protocols. We have paid our tributes, respected indigenous life, and developed only uninhabited worlds that no other civilization claimed." Chancellor Zephyr's 4 eyes blinked in unison, a sign of impatience Katie had learned to recognize. "The decision is final. Representative Morgan, humanity will limit itself to 1 new colony every decade, with population caps of 50 million per world. Your existing colonies will be subject to trade and research restrictions to ensure compliance with Council environmental standards." Admiral Harrison leaned forward. "And if we find these terms unacceptable?" The chamber's temperature seemed to drop several degrees as Speaker Sis, the towering avian representative of the ancient Morrigan Confederation, rose from her perch. "Then Earth withdraws from the Galactic Council," she stated, her feathers rippling with authority. "And, by treaty, relinquishes control of all colonies established under Council protection. You would retain only your homeworld, and must remove all presence from Council space within 1 standard year." Katie felt the blood drain from her face. 17 thriving colonies, billions of human lives, decades of progress, all to be abandoned. She exchanged a glance with Harrison, whose jaw had tightened almost imperceptibly. "We request 24 hours to consult with Earth's government," Katie said finally. Chancellor Zephyr nodded magnanimously. "Granted. This council stands adjourned until tomorrow's cycle." As the vast chamber emptied, Katie and Harrison remained seated, watched by curious eyes. Only when the last council member had departed did Harrison activate his secure communication device. "Initiate protocol exodus," he said quietly. "Authorization Harrison Alpha 79, effective immediately." Katie stared at him. "Jack, what are you doing? We haven't even contacted the president." Harrison's eyes met hers. "This scenario was wargamed 5 years ago. Katie. When the resource restrictions began, the president signed the contingency directive last year when the council rejected our 4th consecutive colony application." He gestured to the empty chamber. "They've been planning this for years. So have we." The realization struck Katie like a physical blow. "You knew this would happen." "I hoped it wouldn't," Harrison corrected, standing and offering her his hand. "But humanity has survived by preparing for the worst. Come on, we have work to do." As they walked through the gleaming corridors of the council station, Katie's mind raced. "The colonies, all those people, are already evacuating," Harrison said quietly. "By this time tomorrow, most colonial centers will appear abandoned. We're leaving the infrastructure, the cities, even some automated systems to maintain appearances. But our people and critical technology will be gone. Gone where? Katie demanded. The council monitors all habitable systems. Harrison's smile held no warmth. Not all of them. 20 hours later, Katie stood at the viewport of the diplomatic shuttle, watching the council station recede into the distance. Behind her, the communications officer reported, all channels showing the evacuation proceeding ahead of schedule. Ma'am, 70% completion across all colonies. Katie nodded absently. The strategy was audacious, perhaps insane. Instead of fighting the council's decision, humanity would appear to accept it. They would abandon their colonies as demanded, but not in the way the council expected. Admiral Harrison entered the bridge, his uniform immaculate despite not having slept in over 30 hours. Status report? Phase 1 is almost complete, Katie informed him. But I still don't understand how we're hiding millions of people from the council's surveillance network. Harrison gestured for her to follow him to a secure briefing room. Once inside, he activated a holographic display showing the galactic map. For the past 15 years, while building our council-approved colonies, we've been charting regions of space the council considers uninhabitable or uninteresting. The map zoomed to highlight 17 star systems scattered across the galactic rim. These systems don't appear on council maps because they contain no council-defined Class A habitable planets. But our terraforming technology has advanced considerably since joining the council. Katie's eyes widened. We've been secretly developing these worlds. Surveying and preparing them, Harrison corrected. The actual development begins now. Our evacuation ships aren't returning to Earth. They're heading to these 17 systems. We're establishing a human presence beyond council jurisdiction. That's treason against the council, Katie whispered. It's survival, Harrison countered. The council has made it clear they won't allow humanity to grow at our natural pace. We tried diplomacy for 20 years. Katie, now we try independence. The hologram shifted to show a massive shipyard hidden within an asteroid field. This is Sanctuary Station, built in secret over the last decade, using resources skimmed from our mining operations. It's the first of many hubs for our new network. Katie sank into a chair, overwhelmed. How many people know about this? Key military personnel, essential scientists, colonial governors, a small faction within Earth's government. Harrison's expression softened slightly. We needed your genuine diplomatic efforts. Katie, you've bought us the time we needed. And now we disappear. Then we build. And eventually, we return, not as supplicants, but as equals. Over the following months, Katie witnessed the most ambitious covert operation in human history unfold. The colonies emptied with remarkable efficiency, leaving behind carefully maintained ghost cities. Council inspectors found abandoned settlements with functioning infrastructure, evidence of a civilization that had regretfully packed up and gone home. But Earth received only a fraction of the returning ships. The majority vanished into uncharted space, following carefully plotted courses to avoid detection. Meanwhile, stealth vessels retrieved caches of equipment and materials hidden throughout Council space over the previous decade. Katie relocated to Sanctuary Station, which quickly became the administrative center for humanity's shadow civilization. There, she worked alongside Director Helen Wright, the architect of the evacuation's logistics. It's organized chaos, Helen admitted as they walked through the station's bustling command center 6 months after the exodus began. But we're ahead of schedule on almost every metric. Holographic displays showed the status of each new colony world. Some were barely habitable, requiring massive terraforming efforts. Others offered surprising advantages, unusual mineral deposits, unique biological compounds, or strategic positions. New Boston is already housing 3 million colonists, Helen noted, indicating a mostly oceanic world where floating cities were being constructed. And Hawking's world has completed its first orbital shipyard. What about council patrols? Katie asked. Minimal contact so far. We're operating in regions they rarely visit. Our stealth technology handles the rest. Helen's expression turned serious. But we're not undetectable. Eventually, they'll realize what we've done. By then, we'll be established, came a voice from behind them. Admiral Harrison approached, accompanied by Admiral Kane Brooks, who had taken command of humanity's newly independent fleet. Brooks was younger than Harrison, with the intense focus of someone who had spent his career preparing for a conflict he always believed would come. Our defensive capabilities are growing daily, he reported. We've implemented the technologies the Council prohibited: quantum shielding, gravity weapons, holographic masking systems. The foundations of a sovereign human civilization, Harrison said, free from Council restrictions. Katie studied the star map thoughtfully. And Earth? What about those who stayed behind? Officially cooperating with Council directives. Harrison replied, unofficially. They're our cover story. Earth continues diplomatic relations while quietly supporting our efforts. The Council believes humanity has humbly accepted its place. For now, Brooks added with a tight smile. The illusion lasted almost 3 years. 3 years of feverish development as humanity's shadow colonies grew from survival outposts to thriving communities. 3 years during which Earth maintained the pretense of compliance while serving as an intelligence hub and recruitment center for the independent worlds. Then came the Zephyrian incident. The Zephyrian hegemony, one of the Council's oldest members, had established research outposts throughout the galactic rim, studying pre-spaceflight civilizations. One such outpost orbited a planet where primitive reptilian beings were just discovering basic metallurgy. This planet, designated K9472 by the Council, happened to occupy a strategic position near one of humanity's hidden supply routes. When Admiral Brooks detected unusual energy readings from the Zephyrian outpost, consistent with weapons development prohibited near developing civilizations, he saw both a threat and an opportunity. The confrontation was brief, but decisive. 3 human stealth destroyers decloaked around the Zephyrian station, their communications officer broadcasting on all frequencies. Zephyrian research vessel. This is Captain Steve Campbell of the Independent Human Fleet. Our sensors detect prohibited weapons technology. You will power down all systems and prepare for inspection, or withdraw from this system immediately. The Zephyrians, stunned by the appearance of advanced human warships in a region where humanity had supposedly abandoned its presence, initially attempted to contact the Council. When communications jamming prevented this, they prepared to fight. It was no contest. Human quantum shields absorbed the Zephyrian energy weapons with minimal strain. Return fire was precisely calculated, disabling their propulsion and defensive systems without causing casualties. Last warning, Campbell transmitted. Withdraw or be boarded, and your violations of Council protocols regarding pre-spaceflight civilizations will be documented and broadcast throughout Council space. The Zephyrian commander chose withdrawal, limping away from the system with damaged systems and wounded pride. More importantly, with a story to tell. At Sanctuary Station, Katie watched the recording of the encounter with a mixture of pride and apprehension. It begins, she said quietly. Harrison nodded. Sooner than we planned, but not unprepared. Within days, emergency sessions of the Galactic Council convened as reports of human activities beyond Council space flooded in from multiple sources. Chancellor Zephyr demanded explanations from Earth's diplomatic corps, who expressed appropriate surprise and promised to investigate these rogue elements operating without official sanction. The Council chambers that had once dismissed humanity now buzzed with alarmed speculation. How extensive was this human shadow empire? How had they developed technologies the Council had explicitly forbidden? What were their intentions? Katie observed the proceedings remotely, her official position having been replaced by a junior diplomat who played his role of confused inexperience perfectly. The real action was taking place elsewhere, On Hawking's world, Admiral Harrison convened the leadership of humanity's independent colonies. Representatives from 17 thriving worlds gathered in person or via secure holographic projection. Scientists, military officers, colonial governors, the architects of humanity's new civilization. "The time for hiding is over," Harrison announced. "The Council knows we exist. Now we must show them who we've become." Director Helen Wright presented the latest census data. Our population across all 17 worlds has reached 800 million. Industrial capacity exceeds pre-withdrawal levels. Research and development, freed from Council restrictions, has accelerated beyond our most optimistic projections. Admiral Brooks followed with a military assessment. Our fleet now comprises over 200 vessels, all incorporating technologies the Council either restricted or hasn't yet developed. Defensive systems are operational on all major colonies. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez, head of intelligence operations, added. Council species are divided in their response. Some fear us. Others admire what we've accomplished. Many are simply confused. They believed we had humbly accepted their restrictions and returned to Earth. Katie had spent months preparing for this moment, drafting the message that would introduce humanity's independent civilization to the galaxy. "We offer them neither threat nor submission," she said. "We extend one hand in friendship and keep the other on our sword." Harrison nodded his approval. Implement Operation Revelation. The next day, as the Galactic Council debated military action against the human rebellion, their session was interrupted by an unprecedented broadcast. Every communication system within the Council chamber activated simultaneously, projecting Admiral Harrison's image above the central table. "Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Council," he began, his voice calm and measured. "3 years ago, you presented humanity with an impossible choice. Accept permanent second-class status within your hierarchy, or abandon the stars we had just begun to explore." The chamber erupted in protests, but Harrison's transmission continued uninterrupted. "We chose a third path. We departed from your table, but not from the galaxy. Today, I speak to you as Supreme Commander of the Independent Human Alliance, a sovereign civilization of 47 worlds, 800 million citizens, and technological capabilities that now surpass your own." Chancellor Zephyr's crystalline form trembled with outrage. "This transmission is unauthorized. Security protocols cannot stop us." Harrison continued smoothly. "Just as your restrictions could not contain human innovation, your surveillance networks could not detect our expansion. Your military patrols could not find our fleets." The hologram expanded to show images of sprawling human cities on worlds the Council had deemed uninhabitable. Orbital shipyards constructing vessels with designs unlike anything in Council records. Agricultural complexes feeding millions. Schools, hospitals, research centers. A civilization built entirely outside Council oversight. "We did not come to threaten," Harrison emphasized. "Humanity desires peaceful coexistence with all Council species. We will respect your territories as we expect you to respect ours. We will trade with those who wish to trade. We will share knowledge with those who share in return." His expression hardened slightly. "But we will not be constrained. We will not seek permission to grow, and we will defend our independence with all the considerable means at our disposal." The transmission ended, leaving the Council chamber in chaos. Speaker Sis shrieked for order as representatives broke into dozens of heated discussions. Some demanded immediate military action to bring these rogue humans under control. Others cautiously suggested diplomatic recognition might be wiser. A few quietly wondered if their own civilizations might benefit from alliance with this new human power. Chancellor Zephyr finally restored order by activating the chamber's emergency protocols, a subsonic tone that commanded attention from all Council species. "This human defiance cannot stand," he declared. "They have violated the most sacred principles of our 1,000-year order. They have developed forbidden technologies. They have established unauthorized colonies. They have confronted council members with military force. Several representatives nodded in agreement, but others remained conspicuously silent. I propose an immediate quarantine of Earth and authorized human territories. Zephyr continued. All trade suspended. All communication blocked. A combined council fleet will locate and neutralize these illegal settlements. To his visible surprise, the vote was far from unanimous. The Muravani Federation, long-standing trading partners with human colonies, abstained. The Delphic Alliance, renowned for their scientific collaboration with human researchers, voted against. Even the Zephyrian representative hesitated before supporting the motion. In the end, the resolution passed, but with the narrowest margin in council history. The galaxy's unified governance showed its first significant cracks in centuries. On Sanctuary Station, Katie watched the vote with grim satisfaction. Just as we predicted, she told Harrison. They're divided. Harrison nodded. And division is all we need. Some will fight us. Others will work with us. The rest will wait to see who prevails. He turned to Admiral Brooks. Implement defensive posture Alpha. Any council vessels approaching our systems are to be warned, then deterred if necessary. And Earth? Katie asked. They'll be isolated, punished for our actions. Earth is prepared, Harrison assured her. They've stockpiled essentials and hidden more advanced technology than the Council realizes. They'll weather the storm while publicly condemning our rebellion to maintain plausible deniability. Over the following weeks, Council unity deteriorated further as initial military probes into human territory encountered sophisticated defenses that rendered conventional tactics useless. Quantum shields neutralized energy weapons. Gravity distortion fields prevented accurate targeting. Holographic duplicators created phantom fleets that confused sensor systems. Meanwhile, human diplomatic envoys approached Council species individually, offering exclusive trade agreements and technological partnerships outside Council oversight. Many refused publicly, while opening back channels for negotiation. Others openly broke ranks, announcing their intent to recognize the independent human alliance as a sovereign power. The Council's quarantine of Earth proved equally ineffective. Officially, Earth denounced the unauthorized colonies while pleading for leniency. Unofficially, stealth ships continued to transport personnel and resources between Earth and independent space, using technologies that rendered Council blockades porous. 4 months after Harrison's declaration, the first major military confrontation occurred in the Rigel sector. A Council task force comprising vessels from 7 species attempted to penetrate defenses around New Boston, the largest human colony world. Admiral Brooks personally commanded the defensive fleet, employing tactics that demonstrated humanity's new capabilities without revealing their full extent. Gravity wells disabled Council propulsion systems. Targeted electromagnetic pulses disrupted command networks. Precision strikes disabled weapons while avoiding life support systems. When the Council fleet withdrew after 6 hours of one-sided combat, they had suffered no casualties but complete tactical defeat. The message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed them, but chose restraint. The news spread quickly through Council space, undermining the narrative of dangerous human rogues that Chancellor Zephyr had promoted. Private citizens of various species began questioning their government's hostility toward humans. Underground markets for human technologies emerged on dozens of worlds. At Sanctuary Station, Katie presided over a growing diplomatic corps, receiving unofficial envoys from Council species seeking accommodation with the new human reality. With each passing week, humanity's position strengthened. Chancellor Zephyr has called for your arrest as a war criminal, Katie informed Harrison 6 months into the standoff, reading from a recent intelligence report. Along with Brooks, Campbell, and most of our leadership. Harrison smiled thinly. Has he specified our crimes? Violation of Council protocols, unauthorized use of restricted technologies, disruption of galactic order. Katie set down the report. The usual charges against anyone who challenges their authority. And how many species endorse this declaration? Fewer than half. The Muravani are openly trading with us now. The Delphics have requested our assistance with a gravitational anomaly near their homeworld. Harrison nodded thoughtfully. The Council is fragmenting, just as Earth's old United Nations did when it became irrelevant to actual power dynamics. He turned to the viewport, gazing at the stars. We never wanted to destroy the Council, Katie, only to ensure it couldn't destroy us. What happens next? She asked. Phase 3, Harrison replied. We formalize the Independent Human Alliance as a galactic power and extend membership to non-human worlds that share our values of sovereignty and innovation. Katie raised an eyebrow. You want to create a rival to the Council? I want to create an alternative, Harrison corrected. The Council has maintained peace for 1,000 years through stagnation and control. We'll offer progress and freedom instead. The first non-human world to formally join the Alliance was Tyranno, a young civilization that had chafed under Council restrictions for centuries. Others followed, first a trickle, then a steady stream of worlds seeking the dynamism that humanity had unleashed. 1 year after humanity had seemingly abandoned the galactic table, a new power had emerged, a coalition of species united not by central control, but by mutual respect for sovereignty and shared ambition. The Galactic Council still stood. Chancellor Zephyr still wielded his crystalline gavel. The ancient chamber still hosted debates that could last for months or years. But its monopoly on galactic governance had ended forever. In a private meeting room on neutral territory, Katie Morgan finally came face to face with Chancellor Zephyr after years of conflict. The Chancellor's translucent skin had dulled somewhat, his 4 eyes less vibrant than she remembered. You have broken what took 1,000 years to build, Zephyr said without preamble. We have evolved what had become static, Katie countered. The Council still exists. It still serves its member species. But now there are choices. Chaos, Zephyr insisted. Competition leads to conflict. Conflict leads to war. Katie shook her head. Only when communication fails. We're here to communicate, Chancellor, to establish boundaries, protocols, understanding between the Council and the Alliance. Zephyr's upper eyes narrowed. You believe you can simply create a new order? We already have, Katie said gently. The question is whether the old order can adapt to coexist with it. Their discussions continued for days, laying the groundwork for what would eventually become the Galactic Concordat. Not a reunification, but a framework for peaceful relations between the Council and the Alliance. When Katie returned to Sanctuary Station, she found Admiral Harrison in the observatory, staring at the holographic display of human-controlled space, now extending far beyond the original 17 systems. Zephyr is a realist, beneath all that ceremony, she reported. He knows the Council can't defeat us militarily, and more species defect to our side each month. He's agreed to preliminary recognition of Alliance sovereignty. Harrison nodded. And Earth? The quarantine ends immediately. Earth can maintain its Council membership while establishing formal relations with us. Katie smiled. We've won, Jack. We've survived, Harrison corrected. Winning implies the game is over. He gestured to the display, where hundreds of stars glittered with possibility. This is just the beginning. On the edge of explored space, beyond both Council and Alliance territories, Captain Steve Campbell's ship hovered near an unusual stellar phenomenon. Long-range sensors detected something unprecedented. Energy patterns suggesting artificial construction on a scale beyond anything humanity had encountered. Transmit these readings to Sanctuary Station, he ordered, and prepare for further exploration. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez monitored the communication systems. Sir, should we notify the Council as well? The Concordat includes information sharing about potential threats. Campbell considered this briefly. Yes. Send the data through Earth's diplomatic channels. Whatever's out there. It's bigger than old rivalries. As the transmission went out, Campbell gazed at the distant energy signature with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars by refusing to be limited. But the galaxy was vast, ancient, and full of mysteries. The abandoned table had led to unimagined freedom. What might lie beyond the known borders of that freedom remained to be discovered. In her private quarters on Sanctuary Station, Katie Morgan reviewed Campbell's preliminary report with growing interest. New civilizations, new technologies, new challenges. The story of humanity among the stars was just beginning its next chapter. Behind her desk hung a simple artifact, a wooden gavel, hand-carved from earth oak, a reminder of the authority they had once accepted, then rejected, and finally transcended. The galaxy had watched as humanity abandoned the table. Now, it would watch as humanity built new tables, new chambers, new ways of reaching across the void to connect with other minds. And in the council chamber, Chancellor Zephyr contemplated the empty seats where Earth's representatives had once sat. He recalled dismissing humans as impetuous children, too impatient to understand the value of stability and tradition. Now, those children had reshaped the political landscape of the galaxy in mere years. Perhaps, he reflected, that was precisely why the Council had sought to contain them. Admiral Jack Harrison stood on the command deck of the Alliance flagship Defiance, overseeing the commissioning ceremony for 20 new vessels. Each represented technologies and designs that had been merely theoretical when humanity left the Council. "We abandoned their table," he told the assembled captains, "but we built our own. Remember that table is round, with no head position. In the Alliance, all voices matter. All contributions count." He raised his hand toward the viewport, where the vastness of space stretched before them. "Out there are wonders and dangers beyond imagination. We face them not as Earth alone, but as a united alliance of free worlds. Go forth with courage and curiosity. The stars await." As the captains dispersed to their ships, Harrison remained at the viewport. Somewhere among those countless points of light, new civilizations were rising, falling, evolving. New technologies were being discovered. New questions were being asked. Humanity had claimed its independence. Now, it would earn its place in the greater story of the galaxy, not as subjects of an ancient order, but as authors of their own destiny. The table had been abandoned, but the conversation was just beginning.